Bears fans, the pick is in, and the Bears are going with Darnell Wright, offensive tackle from Tennessee. As a Georgia fan and someone who has watched the Tennessee Volunteers and the rest of the conference, I know that this is a solid pick for the Chicago Bears. Ryan Poles is the general manager for the Chicago Bears. He's an old offensive lineman himself. And he understands offensive line play. He also understands that Justin Fields needs protection. And so he got one of the best offensive linemen in the first 10 picks of the draft. As a matter of fact, the Bears are supposed to be at 9. They make a deal with the Eagles just to make sure that they secured Darnell Wright. At 9, Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter, a name we've talked about a lot. We talked about some of his issues off the field. And I think that for Jalen Carter, this is the right infrastructure for him. Going with the Eagles under the general manager, Howie Roseman, that coaching staff, those teammates, there's a couple of Georgia players on that Eagles team. That's going to be right for Jalen Carter. But for the Chicago Bears, there is a need on the lines. Definitely the offensive line, because nothing for me is more important than protection for Justin Fields. So I like Darnell Wright because he's a big body guy, a guy that can protect the edge. He could be able to help out Justin Fields in a big way. Allowed 0 sacks last year for Tennessee. So I love that here's a guy who's battle-tested, taking on some of the best defensive linemen in the SEC, and he's going to come through, and I think he can really help the Bears for the future. But that's not it, though. I mean, that's one pick. What about the center? Who's going to snap the ball? I don't even know who that is yet on this roster. That's why there's still holes on this roster, right? As much as I like the upside for Braxton Jones, because he had a lot of snaps last year, and Tevin Jenkins, and Nate Davis and Cody Whitehair, I don't know what else they're going to do on the offensive line, but you got to have someone that can be the center. Along with that, by the way, in this draft, the Bears have to be able to find, I would say, 2 defensive tackles and a defensive end and a running back and a wide receiver and secondary help. You know, you got to be able to really fill these holes. I'm looking at this depth chart right here. I love that Darnell Wright is part of this team on the offensive line because that's great for Justin. I think that's great for the offense. But the Bears have a lot of other holes that they have to fill. So hats off for the Chicago Bears because they found, I think, a real winner and a cornerstone in the offensive line in Darnell Wright. When you're taking on the best of the best every single Saturday in the SEC in high leverage games, and Darnell Wright's coming through and he's shutting out my Georgia team, taking on other teams around the SEC and playing his position well, yeah, this is the right pick for the Chicago Bears. And nothing else, too, I want to point this out. Everybody gets so hung up on names, and I just think if you have a hole on your depth chart, you got to fill it. And the Bears were able to do that on the offensive line. Again, the defense was as bad as I've ever seen for the Chicago Bears last year. Now you got to start looking at this defensive line and figure out who's going to be able to get to the quarterback. I've never seen a worse Bears defense than last year. So how will they fill those holes? So give me your comments below. What did you think of what the Bears did? To me, I think it's a home run to be able to fill the need on the offensive line because all of this that we're talking about all the time, in season, out of the season, is a protection for the quarterback, Justin Fields. What do you think?